Welcome to the Intuitive Hour with psychic medium, author, and intuitive life coach, Michelle Beltran. The Intuitive Hour will empower you to learn how to magnify your intuitive voice. Listen in and expand your understanding of what it means to be psychic and how to awaken, amplify, and trust your inner voice.
The power of the pendulum. Welcome, everyone, to the Intuitive Hour. Today, we're talking about the unique, mysterious pendulum and how you can use it to get answers to guide you. So, as we begin, what some of you may not have known is that the pendulum has been around for eons. Yes, it's an age-old tool that has been used by many well-known people in the past for guidance and answers to their most burning questions, to support them in life. This very simple yet mysterious tool is made up of a weight on a string or a chain that hangs from a pivot point. It actually can be used to tap into your intuition. The use of the pendulum dates back to ancient times when it was used as a divination tool. Nostradamus, Joan of Arc, Sir Isaac Newton all used the pendulum. It has been said that the pendulum works with us to access information from our subconscious, and it provides answers to questions that we'd like to know about our life. And so how does the pendulum actually work? What's going on in this process? Good question. The pendulum is one of the most fascinating devices. It's a simple yet complex instrument, and it consists of a weight often referred to as the bob. It's on the end of a string or a rod and suspended from a fixed point. And when it is set in motion, it swings back and forth in an elliptical motion due to gravity. This motion is known as the pendulum effect. The most important factor influencing the pendulum's motion is its length. The longer the string or rod, the slower and more predictable its movements become. This is because of two things: inertia, which is the tendency for an object to remain in motion unless acted upon by an outside force, and gravity, which pulls it back toward its starting point. The pendulum can also be used to measure time, as its swings are consistent in nature and can be counted with a clock or watch. Believe it or not, it's that accurate. This concept has been around since the 16th century and is still used today. And we'll talk about that again in a moment. But the question becomes, why can we rely on the pendulum? Well, the answer lies in science. Newton's laws of motion state that a body in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by an external force. This means that the pendulum's movements are predictable and can be trusted to remain consistent over time. The mysteries of the pendulum may never fully be revealed, but it is no doubt an intriguing tool. We have relied on its consistent motions for centuries, and we can continue to do so in the future. Let's talk about some interesting facts you may not have known about the pendulum. When you think of or when you hear the word pendulum, if you're like most people, you probably think of a timepiece. However, did you know that the pendulums have many other uses? From their use in clocks and watches to their role in navigation, pendulums are an interesting part of history. So, pendulums are actually used to help regulate clocks and watches. I've mentioned that briefly a few moments ago. The earliest pendulum clock was invented by Dutch scientist Christian Huygens in 1656, and since then, many other timepieces have been powered by the swing of a pendulum. Also, pendulums can be used for navigation purposes. By measuring the force of gravity, a pendulum can be used to determine latitude and longitude. Believe it or not, pendulums are used in seismology, helping to measure the intensity of an earthquake. The length of the arc of a pendulum is directly related to how quickly it swings back and forth, as I mentioned. The longer the arc, the slower the swing. Also, pendulums are used to help measure acceleration. Many amusement park rides use pendulums to measure how fast a car is going on a roller coaster or how much G-forces are being produced by a looping ride. Think about that the next time you're at an amusement park. It's quite fascinating. Most people think that pendulums have to be round in shape, but that is not necessarily true at all. A pendulum can be any shape or size, and it will still work properly. Pendulums are often used in medical science research. Scientists use them to measure the elasticity of body tissue and other bodily functions. Another pretty amazing fact about this unique and mysterious tool. Just a few more notes on the pendulum that I think is interesting for you all to know before we move on about how to use it. Pendulums actually are used to measure the speed of sound waves. So, by monitoring the oscillations in a pendulum, scientists are able to measure how fast sound waves travel through a medium. And finally, the theory of chaos and complexity is partially based on the behavior of pendulums. The chaotic movement caused by slightly different initial conditions is known as the butterfly effect and has been used to explain why small changes in an environment can have a big impact. So we can see, everyone, that pendulums are such an interesting part of history with many fascinating uses, from clocks to navigation to divination. The swing of the pendulum has been used for centuries. It just goes to show that the power of a simple swing can be greater than you might think. Okay, making your own pendulum. I recommend this first. In making your own pendulum, you tend to bond with it a bit more in a unique way because you created it. And it's a quite simple process. The first step in using the pendulum will be to establish or acquire a weight. Usually this is made of metal or crystal. And then you'll need a string or a chain that is at least 18 inches long. You can also use a piece of jewelry, such as an earring or a necklace, to attach the weight to the string. That's it. It's pretty simple. Once your pendulum is ready, you can begin using it for divination purposes and asking questions. I do also recommend a prayer that you say initially before you begin using your pendulum. All right. As you begin to use your pendulum, just a few steps to use this amazing intuitive tool. You'll start by asking a simple yes or no question. I recommend stating that question out loud. Stating the question out loud is called objectifying it. Think of it as establishing a deeper connection with the universal DNA, so to speak. You are heard when you ask the question out loud. So you'll ask a simple yes or no question and observe the movement of the weight. If the pendulum swings in a clockwise direction, then it indicates a yes answer, while a counterclockwise direction indicates a no answer. You can also ask more complex questions, and the pendulum will swing in different directions depending on the complexity of the question. And once you're comfortable with using your pendulum, everyone, begin to explore its power further by asking these more detailed questions, to include questions about your life. Pendulums can provide us with insight into health issues, relationships, career and business decisions, as well as personal growth and spiritual paths. As you become more experienced with using the pendulum, you may even be able to receive answers to questions that are not directly related to yourself, meaning you can offer readings for others using the pendulum. It truly is an incredibly powerful tool that provides us with guidance in life in so many ways. With some practice and patience, you can become an expert in using a pendulum and unlock its mysterious power. Simply follow these few steps and receive those answers to your questions. Use it wisely. Honor it. Remember to say your prayer before you begin using it each time. And be sure to listen to what it has to say, trusting it. Who knew that such a simple tool could provide such invaluable guidance? All right, everyone, thank you for joining me today. I look forward to connecting with you all next week.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Intuitive Hour, please consider following, rating, and reviewing the podcast at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You're welcome to access Michelle's free controlled remote viewing exercise that will empower you to uncover answers to your burning questions about lost objects, events, or people in the past, present, or future. Visit michellebeltran.com to access this free offering and rediscover what was once lost.